Here's how you can make your own really simple over-the-collar dog bandana. First, gather your materials and print your pattern pieces. Here's everything you'll need, and it's also detailed in the description down below and on the pattern PDF. I have transferred my pattern pieces onto clear plastic for easy cutting. For this bandana, I've selected this cute Pup Up the Volume print, which I bought on Spoonflower, and a complementary plain cotton for the reverse. I also have my interfacing. After some experimentation, I have found that I actually prefer Vlieseline S320 instead of the H250 I've used in this video, as it washes better. Then I have my matching thread and my cutting tools ready to go. I also have this corner and edge turner, which is useful for getting the corners nice and neat. I then have some hand sewing needles, which I'll use to turn the point through, and I'll just use some plain white thread for that. For best results, pre-wash your fabrics before you start sewing. Cotton and other natural fabrics shrink by up to 10% when washed. Next, we're going to cut the fabric. You can buy and print a pattern from my Etsy shop, link in the description, or draw your own pattern for your desired dimensions. Here are my pattern templates. They're exactly the same as the small templates from my PDF pattern. I've just transferred them to plastic to make them easy to cut around using a rotary cutter. There are two templates, one for the fabric and one for the interfacing, which is approximately 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch, smaller all around. I fold the fabric for the front of the bandana, then line the template up with the fold and cut around it. I then repeat the same process for the back of the bandana. Finally, I take the interfacing template and repeat the process for the interfacing, cutting on the fold. The next step is to attach the interfacing and any labels or trims you're using. First, I give all the fabrics a quick press with the iron. Next, I attach the interfacing to the front piece of fabric. Typically, fusible interfacing has one side which looks shinier than the other, and you'll place this side together with the reverse of your patterned fabric. I use the back of the bandana to cover the interfacing while I fuse it, so I don't apply the iron directly to the interfacing. You can use any fabric for this. I just use it since it's the right size and I have it to hand. I then use the iron on the steam setting, pressing for several seconds in each position, especially on the corners. Since I'm attaching one of my branded labels, I've basted this into place using a long machine stitch, just outside of the seam allowance. Now it's time to start sewing. Clip or pin your front and back fabric, right sides together. I like to use Wonder clips because they're much less fiddly than pins, but depending on the fabrics you use, you may prefer pins. Next, we're going to stitch all the way around the edge. If you positioned your interfacing carefully, you can use it as a guide for your stitching line. Make sure you leave a gap of approximately 3 to 4 inches, 7 to 10 centimeters at the top. I don't have a camera set up at my sewing machine, so I can't show you that part, but here's what it looks like when I've finished sewing. As you can see, I've stitched all around and left that gap open on the top edge. The next step is to trim the corners and press the seams, which will help the edges and corners to look crisp. So first, grab your scissors and trim each corner, taking care not to cut through the stitching. This will reduce the bulk in the corners, so when we turn the bandana right side out, it'll be easier to make the corners sharp and neat. Optionally, you can also press all the seams inwards. This isn't strictly needed, but it will help to make things nice and neat when we turn the bandana through in a moment. Here's a little tip on how to create nice sharp corners. I like to turn the point at the bottom of the bandana through using a tailor's knot. To do this, thread your needle and leave both ends nice and long. Hold the ends of the thread between your fingers, then gently wrap the thread around your fingers a few times. Pull the thread off your fingers, then push the loop towards the end of the thread to tighten it. This will create a large, messy knot. Next, push the needle through the tip of the bandana so the needle ends up on the inside. Now it's time to turn the bandana through. Reach through the gap on the top of the bandana to grab the needle and pull until the bandana is right sides out. Cut the threads and remove the knot. Then grab your corner and edge turner and use it to push along each edge and to push out the corners. If you don't have one, you can also use the edge of your scissors. Just be very careful at the corners not to poke through the fabric. Now it's time for some more ironing. Press the bandana flat, then fold the top of the bandana over so that the corners meet. This will create the gap which your dog's collar will slot through. Press this fold into place with the iron, then clip or pin to secure it. Finally, we're going to do the last bit of sewing. Carefully stitch along the edge of the collar slot, approximately 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters from the edge. This line of stitching will both create the slot to thread your dog's collar through and close the gap which we turned the bandana through in a single step. Trim the ends of your threads and your bandana is finished. Slip your dog's collar through the slot, then put your dog's collar on as normal. If your dog's anything like mine, your bandana is bound to get muddy. You should be able to wash it at 30 degrees Celsius, or a warm wash, then give it a quick press with the iron once it's dry to keep it looking sharp. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope you found it helpful. If you'd like to buy a printable PDF, which has all the templates you need, it's available on my Etsy store. The link is in the description below. If you have any questions or feedback, I'm always happy to help. Just drop me a message or a comment below. If you're looking for some great unique fabrics for your bandanas, I highly recommend checking out Spoonflower. Again, the link is in the description below. If you're looking for some bandana inspiration, you can find me and my border collie Benji on Instagram at allsewnpup. Thanks for watching.